So you said something in your body did what?
Nah, the material, put it like this, the material used my body to stab the lady.
What?
And so she just got stabbed.
Yeah. You know that's not me. I'm talking about just for no reason. But since they did that, now they gotta investigate the material my body is exposed to. Since they want to do all that, now they gotta investigate.
It's funny because she's from the Ukraine. She's from Russia, and you know they got a war. They had a war going on against the United States. So I'm just trying to understand, out of all people, why her?
Hey, it ain't. I don't have nothing. They just lashed out on her. That's what happened. They lashed out on her. Whoever was working the material, whoever was working the material, they lashed out on her.
Wow. He says the material used my body. That wasn't me. That's the mindset that let predators dodge blame while the system shrugs. This woman, she fled an actual war for her safety here. And our safety let a repeat offender roam a train. Makes absolutely no sense. The media told you what to obsess over and what to ignore. Watch who finally said it out loud.
And perhaps most shamefully of all, the majority of the media, many outlets in this room, decided that her murder was not worth reporting on originally because it does not fit a preferred narrative. Many of the journalists in this room spilled plenty of ink trying to smear Daniel Penny for defending a subway car from a deranged lunatic in New York City, but none of those same reporters lift a finger to write stories about an actual murderer.
Exactly.
Here's the truth that and perhaps...
Exactly. Caroline's right. They wrote novels about Daniel Penny for trying to stop violence, but a murdered refugee barely earned a headline until outrage forced it. That double standard trains bystanders to keep their head down, so to speak. Then the panel jump in the debate everything except the one thing that prevents this: containing known risks.
That kind of care. That, if someone is actually seriously mentally ill, maybe on the verge of violence, where do they go?
We're unwilling
Except
to
on the
put
street.
Or North Carolina, not on the verge of violence, actually demonstrated violence in the past and nobody flagged it. Actually, the police, to your point, said, we're going to refer you to more resources, and that went nowhere. So there were multiple...
What do you mean nobody flagged it? He served time for his violent offenses.
Not for his schizophrenia.
Why?
That's not a crime.
That's not a crime.
No, I know, but I'm saying that was compounding this entire issue.
I know,
the fact that he lashed out violently on that
I know,
train.
I'm just saying he did actually serve time for the violent offenses that he committed.
But he was a career criminal, a repeat offender who was let back onto our streets despite a really bad criminal record that suggests he should have been locked away for life because he was threatening the public. He was a menace to society.
He should have been.
I'm not gonna lie, watching this is really cringe-worthy.
Locked away for life for what now?
He should have schizophrenia.
You want him to?
You actually said that. I can't believe you actually said that. Somebody should be locked away in jail forever for schizophrenia.
Isolated.
Did you really say that?
Isolated.
Did you really say that?
In an institution.
Is this actually?
Institutionalized. What you're saying is that this man should have been roaming the streets.
I'm saying that you don't lock people in prison for schizophrenia.
An institution.
What kind of institutions? Institutions in terms of mental health care services.
Yes.
If you're talking about providing full wraparound services for people, I understand that, but at some point, people do get out when they have been treated and rehabilitated.
Sure, but that didn't happen here. He didn't go to an institution at all.
But you're
and
advocating.
So he stabbed a woman.
Said he should be locked away for life.
There's thousands and thousands of people in America, more than tens, hundreds of thousands, who have been diagnosed with schizophrenia that are walking around and that are leading fairly normal lives because they are under treatment.
A lot of people
so
who are mentally
going to lock
violent.
up everybody with schizophrenia for life?
He demonstrated violent proclivities repeatedly.
You said he should be locked away for life for schizophrenia. That is what you said.
He should be institutionalized. Yes, and if you're saying he should not, you're saying that young women like you and me are basically just, we are lambs into the slaughter. You go on public transportation in this city, that could happen to any single one of us.
I use public transit constantly. That is completely unhinged, frankly. People shouldn't be locked away for mental illness. They should be treated for it.
Semantics is all they focused on and missing the point completely.
Yes. For life?
What's this?
Should be
Okay,
isolated from society.
Treatment matters. But after a violent history, public safety, that has to lead. This isn't compassion versus cruelty, y'all. This is protection versus roulette. And the house keeps betting with innocent lives. How does a high-risk offender keep getting back into the public? Glad you asked. Let's start with the door opens.
Did you know the judge that released this guy didn't even go to law school? Yeah, not even a lawyer. Yeah, these magistrate judges that are making a decision to release these people without bail, yeah, they're not even lawyers. They didn't go to law school. They didn't pass the bar. They just got appointed to be judges. No training required. Oh yeah, and that's the case in states like North Carolina, South Carolina, West Virginia, Texas, Arizona. They don't even have to be lawyers, but they can be judges. They don't have to go to law school. They don't have to pass the bar. However, they sit in judgment over people who did. How the fuck is this a thing? How the fuck do we have judges who didn't even study the law? How did this ever become a thing?
Yeah.
That's one of the most insane things I've ever heard. Like, to be somebody's lawyer, you have to go to law school, you got to pass the bar. Like, just to represent a client, you have to do that. To be able to prosecute that person, you got to go to law school, you got to pass the bar. But to be the judge, to be the person overseeing these lawyers, to be the ultimate arbiter of the law, you don't have to go to law school, you don't have to pass the bar. How is this a fucking thing?
Man, bail decisions made by officials who didn't even need a law degree. Oh, my fault. She does have a law degree. Let me not sit here and be a Democrat and spread misinformation, but we just say questionable, right? That's not, equality or equity, right? I was going to say equality. It's entropy. As risk rises, right, standards should get tighter, not looser. And the ideology around the pipeline, here's how it's being sold.
This is Teresa Stokes, a Harris donor who doesn't even have a law degree, but just made a career criminal and a schizophrenic who beat his own sister when he was out on parole. Pinky promised that he'd behave. Ms. Stokes wasn't elected. She was nominated by the clerk. In Mecklenburg County, the sitting clerk is Alyssa Chin Gary. On her LinkedIn page, she calls herself a clerk and a DEI consultant and a racial equity organizer. And her life mission? Reparations.
We are here to honor them, to lift their names, and to continue the intergenerational work that we are required to do to eliminate structural racism.
Ms. Stokes was nominated by Judge Carla Archie. Judge Archie is friends with Eric Holder, Obama's wingman. And Judge Archie isn't just any judge. In 2019, she was the DEI Champion of the Year. Is this starting to make sense? Did a woman die because of DEI? Just a couple months ago, a guy shot 5 people on New Year's, and Judge Archie sentenced him to 1.5 years for shooting 5 people, 1.5 years. This is a DEI court, and they have blood on their hands. And if the people in robes are on the same side as the bad guys, that's suicide. Are you okay with the country committing judicial suicide? I'm not.
Me either.
DEI died when Kamala lost. It's illegal. And releasing felons with dozens of arrests for social justice is a crime against the country. They've set up these dangerous DEI courts in cities nationwide, catching and releasing criminals to prey on innocent people. These courts need to be systematically dismantled, and that needs to happen immediately.
Call it reform, call it DEI. If it ignores violent patterns, it manufactures victims. Policy that comforts paperwork and forgets passengers isn't justice. It's negligence. Nothing more, nothing less. Meanwhile, culture started flirting with something even darker.
We have a right to violence. All oppressed people have a right to violence. And I'm going to tell you something. It's like the right to pee. You gotta have the right place. You gotta have the right time. You gotta have the appropriate situation. And I'm absolutely convinced that this is it. You have a right to.
Wow. Tell people they have a right to violence and you don't get justice. You hand out permission slips. That message freezes good people and excuses bad ones. Now, back to the train car, right? Where help should have been the instinct, right?
I'll tell you exactly why these people didn't react. These three are racist individuals. They don't care about another race. Because I bet you, I'm willing to bet lots of money that if Irina was black, not only would BLM be all over the news and all that other bullshit, targets being torn up and all that other shit, right? And it just so happened that old boy was a white man that did it. Her ass would have got up faster than she ever did in her life. That guy would have done more than he ever did in his life. And that guy in the back would have jumped up. And I'm willing to bet on it. We're going to get justice for Irina. They're already opting for the death penalty for the attacker. And I'm perfectly fine with that. I'll tell you exactly why these people did.
Phones up, hands down. Maybe the headlines change if the races change, maybe. But the constant here is cowardice. We punish helpers so long that help stops showing up. Someone who's seen real stakes says the quiet part out loud.
Well, I'm pissed off. I'm going to use some words that somebody might not like. If that bothers you, go someplace else. But this stupid motherfucker in North Carolina who stood up and murdered this young woman who escaped from Ukraine, formed a life here in the United States, learned our language, got a job, was self-sufficient. And he, having been arrested 14 times, spent 5 years in prison for beating the crap out of his sister, from what I believe, and keeps getting passed along. Even his mother wanted him put up and put away. But no. The cashless bail system that has permeated our legal system throughout this country allowed this stupid son of a bitch to be out there unchecked. And as a result, this young lady is no longer with us. If that ain't bad enough, somebody tried to start a GoFundMe page 2 different times to support this bastard. For some reason, I don't know why, but I'm glad they did. GoFundMe took it down. Usually they don't do that crap. They just let the shit go. But here we go with the Communist News Network trying to make this a point about MAGA, that now this is just giving Trump more ammunition to go after people and justify his, I'm getting tongue-tied, his assault on crime in the United States. Are you freaking kidding me? You sons of bitches on the Communist News Channel and the MS I Don't Give a Shit channel, you need to find a life. You need to go someplace. Go live with Rosie O'Donnell. Maybe she can help you learn how to eat yourself to oblivion. Anyway, this is one old Army Vietnam veteran vet who is totally pissed off, especially for those people who are just sitting on that car who could have went over and put a compress on her neck and applied pressure, and maybe she would still be here today. But no, they've been desensitized, and because of what happened to Daniel Penny, they figure, oh no, better not get involved. This bullshit has got me so mad. I held it back. Sorry if I offended you, but I held it back.
I mean, he's raw, but he's right. Apply pressure to the wound and you might have saved a life. We used to teach basic aid, that is. Now we teach spectatorship and hashtags. Policy failed her, man. Bystanders failed her. You don't have to fail the next her. So, what do we call a hero in 2025?
Now, I got a question for y'all. Do you guys believe that if this man right here happened to be in this light rail right there, if he was in this cart right here with this young lady, do you believe that the series of events that happened on this evening would have taken place? Now, I believe that at the very least, he would have done all he could to save the girl, right? Everything he could after she was attacked by this monster. But at the very best, this man right here, or a man just like him, would have seen this situation and acted accordingly, i.e., restrained the man until necessary, which is likely the entirety of the time until police enforcement or law enforcement comes in. So here's the thing. When you give men like this possible 15-year sentences for protecting women like this, who do you think you incentivize? And of course, when you are a DEI hired judge who lets this guy go after 14 convictions, separate arrests, mind you, who do you think gets incentivized there? Right? This guy is getting upwards to 15 years for protecting women like her, while this guy gets to essentially commit 14 different crimes where he was actually caught, spends 5 years in prison, and because he writes a nice little cute letter to the judge, she lets him out so he can do this.
Daniel Penny got villainized for stepping in. Irena died while nobody did. That's the invasion. Heroes punished, villains coddled, fixed the pipeline so high risk stays contained. Fix the culture so stepping in is honored and taught. For Irena. Now, if you ride public transit, or you know someone who does, I want you to share this. And if you made it to the end of the video, I want you to comment, never again. Y'all be safe. As always, need y'all to do me a favor. And that is to go check on a friend today, because you can quite literally be saving their life. Peace.